talk about you gotta know when to hold them.
Gotta know when to hold 'em.
Know when to hold them.
That's a good song.
It is.
It's a great lesson in life.
It is. I mean, maybe we should just talk about that instead of whatever the hell we were going to talk about.
Kenny Rogers the Gambler. Yeah. What life lessons did you learn from Kenny Rogers the Gambler?
Kenny Rogers? Well, there were islands in the stream.
That's not the song.
I know, but I like Dolly too.
We're talking about the Gambler. Is that the name of the song?
I think. Yes.
Yes, it is.
Yes, the Gambler. But
that's what they called.
But everybody knows you got to know when to hold them. You got to know when to fold them. You got to know when to walk away, and you got to know when to run.
That's right.
You never count your money when you're sitting at the table. There'll be time enough for counting
when the dealing's done.
Exactly. So
that's pretty much all you need to know.
I know. It is. Those are. I mean, everything that we talk about are life lessons, right? and pretty much
let Mr. Rogers teach you everything you need to know.
That's true.
I don't disagree, man. I'm telling you, everything can be learned.
I bet that the majority of things that you find in these social posts, and especially on Medium, if you would take that song, probably being facetious right now, but if you would take that song and like sing that chorus through while you're actually reading a Medium post, I think you'd be surprised. Like, well, right now he's saying I gotta know when to hold them and when to fold them, and when to walk away and when to run. Wow, that is every Medium post I've ever read.
It feels like it, doesn't
it?
Yeah. Okay, on with the show. That was the show.
That was the show.
Thanks for listening, everyone. Well, we've got a MarkDivine Instagriz post. See what I did there?
I did.
And I've had this one in the notes for a while, and I just wanted to go through it. He starts off. I mean, you can go look at it. I'll put the graphic in the show post here, but it's like a Venn diagram, right?
It's like
passion, purpose, principles, and the one thing, right? So he's sort of riffing off. The Japanese have this concept. I'm going to slay the way it's said, but ikagi, I think is the way it is. And it's the same thing, passion, purpose, principles.
Ikagi?
Ikagi. Mm-hmm. If you can find the thing you want to do with your life that overlaps those three things, you'll die a happy human. I guess is the concept. But the story he tells, and I remember him telling this when he spoke at our conference that many years ago, but he says he was once asked by one of his commanders or whatever, I'm going to read it from here, what do you stand for? And he said, justice, integrity, and leadership. It's very Captain America. And rightly so, the commander was like, basically called bullshit.
Yeah.
And said, what, like, give me the real answer, And so he did. What did he say? He said, destiny favors the prepared in mind, body, and spirit. Right? So that's
pretty cool.
It's also a way to live.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, right? I mean, I don't know that we want to get into a like philosophical discussion on destiny versus like not destiny. You know what I mean? I don't know that it matters, but from I get from that prepared in mind, body, spirit. So if you're not living your life in a way that prepares you, mind, body, and spirit, for the eventualities as an adult, which is that life sucks, right? It's going to suck really bad.
Yes.
It's like your quote that you put in last week. That I had a couple people like say that they really enjoyed that quote, and I forget what it was. Like, if you constantly remind yourself how much something's going to suck, it's really going to suck. It was basically basically was the gist of it. But that went over pretty well. But I think it's the same thing, right? Living a life that helps prepare you, mind, body, and spirit, for the good and the bad. I don't know if you disagree with me there.
No. I was going to say that, kind of similar to what's the definition of luck? It's the cross point of
hard hard work and preparation.
Yeah, exactly.
Whatever words.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, people say that all the time. Man, you're so lucky, you know.
Right, an opportunity. Yeah.
Like, really, I've been working pretty hard for about 10 years.
Yeah, it's the overnight success that took 10 years and things like that. And I think when he says destiny favors the prepared in mind, body, and spirit, and in reading his books, listening to him, talking to him,
hanging out with him.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
I felt like, I'll tell you, the first time I met him though, I felt like you remember that skit on Saturday Night Live with Chris Farley?
Yes.
I think he's interviewing Paul McCartney. He's like, you remember that time you were in the Beatles? That was awesome.
Yeah.
Paul McCartney's like, yeah, it was pretty awesome.
Yeah, and while we were doing that, my dumb ass is like, yeah, you're Navy SEAL commander. Yeah. Yeah, I was in the Army once.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I was. Well, I mean, I was in the infantry. I jumped out of airplanes. Yeah, you did what?
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty cool.
I know. That's how and then he's like, 10 minutes, and he's like, well,
I gotta go. I'm gonna go do something else.
You're like, okay, I'll see you tomorrow.
Bye.
I almost ruined that. But luckily, he's a nice guy, and he gave me another shot to talk to him later.
Yeah, no, and the other thing was, too, that...
He wasn't like, get away from me, you weirdos.
So, I don't know if you've ever talked about it before, but when Mark did speak that was the next day, right?
Yeah.
The next day, he was a keynote speaker.
Yep.
And we were, we
had 800 people.
Yeah, 800 people in there. And
the breaker flipped.
All
the power went off.
And there's MarkDivine. And he kind of does look, I think, to the sides, and he's like, I don't know if he said fuck it. I don't know if he said okay.
No, he looked at me and he was like, what you want to do? I was like, whatever you want to do. And he was like, fuck it. And he just went on.
Yes. And he did his entire keynote just with no power, projected his voice, 800 people.
And everyone was still connected to him and mesmerized.
Exactly. And he didn't have slides. Because I feel he
had like his book title on a slide.
Yeah, but I thought that like there was something actually prepared.
I think he had slides. Yeah.
Right, he had slides, and then he just went with it. And so, go back to what he says: destiny favors the prepared in mind, body, and spirit.
Well, he was able to deliver that way because that's who he is.
That's who he is.
He lives that life.
Right.
He lives those principles. He lives those experiences. He carries them with him, so he can talk about them anytime, anywhere.
Right. But it's the preparedness that gets me, because it's the destiny is one thing, but destiny let's talk about ultimate destiny and where you end up later on, but destiny is also like I have to be ready for my black belt test, or I have to be ready to get across town to get to the airport. I mean, like, these are small little destinies, but if you are not prepared for even the smallest things that you're doing, then how can you be prepared for the larger things that happen in your life?
You do.
And so when the power turns off and you're in front of 800 people, and it's not
able to just keep going.
Not only did he not have a mic, but it started to get a little bit dark in there too.
It was dark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, but if you're prepared in what you're going to say, and you're prepared in, like not having to go back to, a PowerPoint presentation. There's a book called Real Leaders Don't Use PowerPoint. They came out right around that time, actually.
Were they there?
Yeah, and yeah, exactly. And just having the presence of mind and building yourself up to a point to embracing the suck, being prepared for things like that. Then something like that is like, I can do this in my sleep. And so if you continue to prepare that way, in your mind, and I know that we'll go into it a little bit in what he says, but in your mind, by thinking, journaling, meditating, whatever it takes to prepare your mind for the next thing. In your body, working out, eating right, sleeping, preparing your body, and then spirit for whatever, if it's religious for you, if it's more, again, back to meditative, if it's, whatever it is, just, having that kind of encompass the other two.
It's very important.
Yeah. Then everything else.
Sort of pull it out when you need it.
Exactly.
Which is what he did.
Right.
That's cool. That's a cool story.
Yeah.
So he, in his post, he is giving some tips, and I know you do some of these. Mm-hmm. Well, you do all of these. I think we all do all of these. His number one tip to help. So I think what gets to the heart of this, and this destiny favors prepared mind and body and spirit, is to figure out, and that's what the little
the passion part.
What is it? Venn diagram is for, is to figure out what you stand for. Right. Your passion, purpose, principles, and really he uses it a lot, and it's almost cliche now. Is your why? What is your why? A lot of people, I find, don't really know what it is. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And it's easy to, like he says, like his story, it's easy to just throw out some very obvious, thing, like my family. Well, yeah, is that really strong? And it might be for some people. It is.
Sometimes it's not.
But yeah, what is your passion, purpose, principles? I mean, it's for a lot of people, it's what they do for a living,
right?
And that's fine. How do you figure out what that is? That's the hard part in life.
It is, but it takes time. It takes
you have to be committed to the process of figuring that out,
right? Because it's I remember a long time ago, just read something. I was doing my MBA in Sydney at the time, and I was trying to really focus on who am I going to be once I finish this MBA, mm-hmm. and and read this great book. I don't remember what it was, some leadership book somewhere, and it talked about coming to a purpose statement, and so I wrote it, and I was like,
there you go,
here we go. And man, has that morphed over time to okay, yeah, right. That was a good starting point.
Right. Well, of course,
right. But the process is going back and continually refining what that is, and
I think that's a good point to bring up too. Is that him, like Coach, he has destiny favors prepared mind and body spirit, whatever. I don't even know if that's what it still is for him or whatever. But mm-hmm. You're looking at 40 years of him developing this.
Sure.
Right? It's okay to change your why.
Yeah.
Your why can change.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people look at that and they'll see these posts or these people talking about it and they're like, my why is this. And they're pretty strongly invested in it and they feel strongly about it. But, you might be looking at 10 years of them developing what that why is.
Yeah.
And they've not only developed it, but they've lived it and they've seen what works and what doesn't work and changed their mind.
Yeah. Well, and also, after 7 years, you're an entirely different person than you were.
I hope so.
Yeah. I mean, physically you are, because your body is regenerated itself.
That's right.
But yes, within 10 years, I've got a 10-year-old.
You're a completely different person than before you had that kid.
Exactly.
That happens.
Right.
I mean, you were a teenager at one point. Jesus, I mean, you're a 40-year-old person. You're not going to be the same person you were when you were 12.
No, that's true.
That's extreme.
But still think like that sometimes.
Well, yes, of course. So one of the things he has here is sit with a journal. And I know you're big on journaling. Mm-hmm. Answer questions based on what would I do if, such as, he's got a big question here. What would I do if I had 1 year to live? What if I won the lottery? Yeah. Or something more simple, like if my team was bashing a teammate behind his back or their back in my presence.
Right.
It's actively using that journal. And I think you have a physical journal that you carry around.
Yeah.
I don't know what, but I've always seen you with it. I write. I don't write a journal this today is that I write things, articles, and I keep a Medium journal, and what I publish versus what my drafts are, it's 100 to 1.
Right.
But I'll just sort of think of a concept like that. What about, what if you said something really stupid to someone you love and they got really mad?
Right.
What would you do? And it leads you down this path of okay, well, try to put yourself in that position. You got to think about, what are the things I'm going to want to do? Well, I'm going to want to blame other people. Right. I'm going to want to defend myself. I'm going to want to, look at the things they did wrong.
I'm listening.
You're going to learn to avoid those things, and it leads to thinking about, well, how do I own the problem, and how do I not blame them? How do I look at myself, and et cetera?
Yeah.
That's a long answer for that, but
no,
I think it's actively using that journal, like not just like, today I drank coffee and then I went to Starbucks again at 4. Like, I think it's about like thinking of a subject and actively thinking through that subject.
Yeah, that's I think I've told you with some iterations, like this journal, which I'm now I'm transferring from journal to journal right now, so I'm actively going from something that was more of a, here are my goals and meditations and everything, to the next iteration had, here are my goals and meditations, but then here's one question per day to think through. And so, like, now, again, it's an evolution, and it is sometimes asking these questions, and it's the best thing about it is when that situation does come up. If I found out I had a year to live,
I don't know what I would do.
Yeah, exactly.
It's worth thinking through.
And I could write it down, and it's going to totally fucking change as soon as somebody says, by the way.
Yeah, or you have.
Yeah, exactly. And you're like, well,
but I mean, have you ever thought through these scenarios?
Yeah.
It's important.
Yeah.
I like that as an exercise. Not that particular thing, but I like the idea of using a journal for growth.
Yeah.
And not just a journal, like you think of a diary.
Yeah. No,
I do journal. I record all my workouts. I record all the classes I teach. And I do go back and I reflect on them, and I, because it's helpful to, like, okay, well, all my students are here, next class. Well, what am I, well, we did this here, so I can change it up, and they need to do it again, or me personally, or whatever. But that's more surface level stuff than these are like determining your values.
Yeah.
Which is the next thing. Define your values. What do you want more of or less of in your life? Clarifying them helps you stand your ground every day.
Yeah.
That's important. I think a lot of people go through life and they don't really know what they stand for. Right? And it seems like even anymore today in this, world we're in, like, people are letting their values be defined externally by other things. They go, I like this person, so I'm going to be like that person, so their values are now my values.
Yeah.
They don't think through it personally.
That's dangerous.
But I think that's what happens.
That's dangerous. And that's dangerous if you let all of your values be determined by somebody else, or...
Yeah, like...
Because
it's like you got to pull up the internet and be like, how do I feel about this today?
Yeah.
How weak is that?
Exactly.
And that's the left and the right.
Well, that's the left and the right. That's and I hate to say this because I feel like there's a lot of great things that come out of religion, but there's also things that,
of course,
that
they dictate your values.
Exactly. And not that that's all bad, but it's the bastardization of those values.
Yeah.
That come, that lead to the problems. But
my mom always says it's not religion that's bad. It's people. That ruin religion. I'd have to agree.
Yeah, that's fair. But even like,
because your own personal spiritual journey isn't bad.
No,
it's the other people that affect it can make it crappy.
If they are
terrible
coming,
people.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, if they're terrible people
and
use religion for a tool, then yes,
which has happened.
And use politics as a tool, and use whatever as a tool, but also like thinking about saying that, like, if I want to be like Mike, from the Gatorade ads, like, if I want to be like Mike, then I am an amazing basketball player and a horrible human being off the court. I'm very competitive.
Yeah.
I have that drive, but I make sure that everybody around me feels like crap.
Right.
And I go cheat on my wife. So if I want to be like Mike,
I feel like you're making a social comment about Mike.
no, I'm these are all documented things.
Did you watch the documentary?
I watched most of it.
Yeah, I did too. I didn't watch all of it.
Yeah.
I was
But I mean,
lost.
it's like
I'm not really a basketball guy.
right. But it's not just Mike. It's
I understand what you're saying.
it's when you look at somebody and say, and I think I told you this before, not on the podcast. Like there have been many books on leadership and self-awareness and everything that I've read over the years. I was like, if the next one that I read, I'm just going to take whatever the fuck they say, and I'm going to go do that.
Yeah.
And that's going to be my thing.
Yeah.
And then but you forget, that's one person and their values and everything. And and again, looking at, I was thinking more like if you look at a sports hero or
don't ever meet your heroes.
Political don't ever meet your heroes. And if you try to be just like them, and then you see all the holes, because they're human also.
Yeah, they have faults.
Exactly, and they have to,
Everybody makes mistakes and
Right.
errors and of judgment, and
right.
we all say dumb shit.
But if you
people we
hold
love.
somebody on a pedestal and they hold themselves on a pedestal, and you should
it's
be like
dangerous.
them, it's dangerous.
Yeah.
And
It's an idol, man.
That's what I was saying with Mike. So if you're too young, that would be Michael Jordan. But I enjoyed watching him play basketball for many years.
I was a Utah Jazz fan.
I was too. I like Karl Malone.
He pushed off.
Yeah, he did. He
I'm
did.
sorry.
Yes, he did.
They claim he didn't. I still think he did.
Yes.
Moving on.
Yeah. Sorry.
I still haven't gotten over it.
But yes, your values should be defined. Your values should be defined. I think it comes from externally first, but over time and through experiences,
Sure.
that's when you have to pull it in.
Right.
To be, what are your real values? And and again, I think that's what the commander was saying when he asked him, no, what do you actually believe? Because this is what the Navy says you should believe.
It's a deeper question too, because we all know that, like we're talking right now, we all know that a lot of our values are externally focused, are externally influenced. Right. We all know that we are made up of the 5 people we spend our time with.
Right.
Good or bad.
Right.
So a question like this can take a deep dive into who are you surrounding yourself with as well.
Oh, that too.
It's a piece of it, and who are you surrounding yourself with? What are you feeding your brain, or the lack of you feeding your brain? Right. It's going to tell you. If he didn't have an answer, if he didn't actually have an answer to come back with, the guy would probably be like, "Move on. We're going to move on." You're not material for what we're looking for, because you aren't doing the things that on your own that you should be doing.
Right.
Because we need people who are going to work on themselves, and they're going to surround themselves with the right people and feed themselves the right stuff.
Right.
They're going to study the right stuff, like on their own. We don't have time to do that for you. You need to do that.
Yeah.
That's what he was. I think partly what he was looking for.
Yeah.
The rest of the stuff he's writing about here.
Yeah.
Are you doing that shit?
Well, also remember when Mark went in, he was also older than
normal
Navy SEAL or your normal recruit from.
He'd gone through college.
Yeah. I thought he had his master's.
I think he did. He worked in the financial industry, if I remember the book right.
Right. So again,
he was older.
It goes back to some experience. He probably had time.
He did.
Life experiences.
He had a black belt in karate.
Right.
At that point, I mean, you're not going to do that without having gone through a lot of this stuff.
Exactly.
To make him the ideal candidate. Discover your passion. Your passion. Ask yourself, who am I at my deepest level? Yeah, clarifying what you're passionate about allows you to put more energy towards it. Yeah. That's the whole part of the exercise.
Yeah.
What do you really enjoy? What do you find yourself thinking about right before you go to bed? Like what are you passionate? Not like, base desires, but like, what are you passionate about? What are you really into?
Yeah.
And what's the sustainability of that? How long have you been into it? Like, those are important things that can help form what you're going to do for a living.
Right.
To bring you fulfillment.
Right. Because you can be interested in something for a short time, but passion is more of a driving force.
Yeah. You can be interested in stuff. There's a big difference.
Yep.
I tend to do that. I tend to be interested in a lot of stuff, but sticking to it for years is when you look back at it and you're like, man, I've done that for years. Like, maybe there's something there.
Yeah.
We all have that.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, point 4, armed with your self-awareness from other exercises, contemplate all the life paths that look, feel, or sound as if they're in line with your passion, values, and stand. Write a few sentences or paragraphs defining your purpose in life. Refine it as new insights roll in. I check with my purpose daily. Yeah, so create that life litmus test. Do they do that anymore? Anyway, you get those points of, passion, purpose, principles, whatever, and always check back against them. Am I in line?
Yeah.
Is what I'm doing in line? Or did I start off doing this and it's changed? External factors, other forces, my own changing spirit, whatever, and now I'm doing something else with it?
Yeah.
And I'm not happy with it or whatever. Do I need to bring it back to where it was before? I think that's the bonus of the journal. I imagine that's what you use it for.
Yeah.
Do you go back and read stuff that you've written in there?
Yeah, I do. Well, and I only do it usually with okay, this is how geeky I am about it. Like right now in my bag I have I'm also going from planner to planner right now and journal to journal, which I do keep them separate. A heavy physical planner, not a file of facts like back in the 90s, but a physical planner that helps me because I like to write. But what I do is with every new journal that I go into, I go back and look at not just the previous journal that I've gone through, but I look at the other 12 journals or whatever it is. And not, day by day, but just to it's a measurement of growth for me.
Right.
Just like when you measure, your workouts and your teaching and everything.
Right. Yeah.
It's I go back and see, how dumb I was back in 2011, or
it's always fun.
Right. Or, what was important to me. I mean, it's like going back and looking at, your yearbook from high school.
Yeah.
Like my quote. Do you remember your senior quote?
No, I don't think I even did a senior quote.
My senior quote was something, or it was like, or goal in life, and my goal in life was, I just want to be happy. But you know what? That was me at 17, 18 years old.
Yeah.
And, but that is something that's actually permeated throughout my life. Like,
interesting.
I whatever I just opened to a second ago, and this one's starting to fall apart. But I showed you there's like something that I drew there.
Yeah.
But my thing that I say every single day is today I decided to be happy, healthy, wealthy, and wise. And I've added free to
Have
that.
I just heard that from you so much that now I just think it's you that did that, or did you hear that from someone else?
Okay, Ben Franklin is
okay, so you altered something that's saying. I just attribute that to you now.
Well, healthy, wealthy, and wise is healthy, wealthy, wise is Ben Franklin.
Okay.
I added happy. This is a little cathartic right now. I added happy because I feel like that's the overarching principle, and
well, that's the whole reason you're doing the other parts,
right? But those words and the order of the words are very important to me too.
Healthy.
Happy is first. Okay. Happy, healthy, wealthy, wise.
If you're happy and healthy, you could argue that you have all the wealth you need.
This is true. And wealth, I did.
And all the shit you're going to do to get there gives you wisdom.
When we were traveling, when we were doing Converge Florida, did we do it twice in Florida in 1 week? Or we were in Orlando.
We did
Orlando
Breaking
and
Development Conference in Orlando,
right. Okay.
and then drove to Jacksonville and did Converge Florida.
So
that was one weekend tent poles.
Who traveled with us? The guy from Ireland.
I don't remember his name, but he played the mandolin in the back.
Yes, he did play the mandolin in the back of the car. But
I totally. He's never gonna listen to this.
No,
but he's like a super huge dude in the industry.
Yes.
It's like.
Yes,
industry wouldn't be the way it is without him.
No.
And I can't remember his name.
Yes, he's in my LinkedIn. We're friends, whatever. Yeah. But we were talking, and that actually
he's a great dude.
Yeah, that came up, and I said something about I believe in being happy, healthy, wealthy, and wise.
Right.
And he looked at me and said, "Why wealthy?" And I think it was more of
he was just thinking money.
He was thinking money, and I believe that wealth. I believe that if you're rich, you have money. If you're wealthy,
right,
maybe you have money, maybe you have connections, but the main thing
Right.
is that you have opportunity to better yourself. That's my version of wealthy.
It could be.
Yeah. And then, wise is pretty much last because I'm going to be dumb, on some things for the rest of my life. But then I've added a fifth one to it, which is free. And
free, right.
And free is free to pursue the opportunities that are in front of me. And so happy, healthy, wealthy, wise. There was a whole point to that.
That's a great one, man.
Yeah.
I think the one that Coach Divine teaches is like whenever you're in the middle of something really hard, he's got one like looking good, feeling good, ought to be in Hollywood.
Yeah. That is a military
I love that
term.
And it's
sure.
funny, we had him at the conference. I've had people over the years like say that back to me. And I'm like, I know there's no way you found that anywhere else but at that conference. I don't know, man. These people, they're like web designers and stuff.
Yeah,
There's
this
no
is
way.
true. They would. Yeah, I mean, I heard
They
it
got
in
it
the
from
Army
me.
a bunch.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's a common.
Well, and also like, I think it was part of like a running cadence or something like that. Look. Anyway, I'm not going to sing. Cadence.
No, don't say it in Army
Yeah,
case.
yeah.
That'll be the next show.
Yeah. Okay. The one thing that I had a question about here was from the triple Venn diagram. So you use your purpose and your passion and your principles to come up with your one thing.
Sure.
But I didn't know, I assumed that this was on purpose, but there's the one thing has the intersection of all three circles. But then there are the other...
Oh, the other little factors.
Yeah, so what's,
I think the question marks, they don't really matter in the... This is my read on it. It doesn't really matter in the purpose of this diagram. But in terms of the... if you're using the diagram, it's kind of like... I think most people would be in one of those quadrants.
Sure.
Right? I think your average, well-adjusted human who doesn't really practice any self, meditation or looking inward or self-character building. I mean, it sounds like shitty to say people generally don't do that, because they do.
There are a lot of people that don't.
Yeah, but I think that's what it is. Your average...
We all do that at some
happy,
point, yeah.
Generally happy person that's, not a jerk, and they're going through life like whatever. They're kind of in one of those two quadrants, I think. Right? I mean, there are the lucky people that we know that everything they do every day is their passion.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
maybe they're not really... Maybe it's still a shitty job for them. Maybe they don't make any money, or maybe like... Because you could do what you love but make zero money at it.
That's true.
I mean, I coached for 3 years and I'd make a single penny.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then it's a matter of, well, how do I make some money or whatever,
right? So you can continue to do it and make it more of what you do.
You learn that, well, I can't help other people until I'm help myself first to support that mission.
Right.
So then you go inward and you figure out, well, how do I support this mission? And then you get to where you're supporting the mission, and then you've got two of the quadrants there.
Yeah. Yeah, true.
So I think that's part of it too. Is like, where are you?
Yeah.
Like what's on a scale of 0 to 100 of fulfillment? Where are you on each of those? Passion, purpose.
Okay.
And what's the other one?
I was looking passion, purpose, principles. I was kind of looking at it as,
or you could have your purpose fulfilled and it's making you happy, but you're hurting people at the same time.
Yeah.
The place you work rips people off.
Right.
Right. A lot of that stuff can happen.
I kind of looked at those question marks between passion and purpose, and then between purpose and principles, and between passion and principles as maybe what he's asking you to do, as like what are the things that you need to do that pull together your passion and purpose that head towards your one thing.
That's right.
What are the things that you need to do between your purpose and principles? Because I think it is hard on a daily basis to go, all right, here's what I'm really passionate about.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't
but
work that way.
I've got these principles that I'm trying to make them work together.
Right.
And then, here's my purpose in life, and trying to pull all these
your
things
passion
together.
could be like, I really want to coach people.
Right.
But I don't make any money.
Right.
And I got 5 kids.
Exactly.
I could do what I feel passionate about, but then my principles get thrown in the gutter because I don't support my family.
Yeah. Right.
They don't align. It's not in alignment.
Yeah.
You know, like it's not in alignment right now. Like, how do I get it in alignment?
Right. And I think
that's your mission. That's your mission right now.
Right.
You know, that's why I say 10 years from now, maybe it's in alignment and your mission's different now.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know.
No, my wife and I were talking about is on a different level and maybe not as deep thought level last night about this, but like, you know, we're looking at, okay, this makes sense for right now.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, and once the kids head off to wherever they are, this makes a lot more sense, but it doesn't make sense for us right now with what we're doing, how we live our lives. So yeah, the mission changes.
That's right.
And that's okay.
And it should.
Yeah, it should. Otherwise, you have no growth.
It's one long ass mission. This is going to be one point. Yeah. It's a long road trip.
Are we there yet?
All right, man. Good episode. I've been wanting to cover that one for a while. I thought it was a really good post. It made me think a lot about how I use my journal and how I define my mission in life and stuff. And just wanted to get your point of view.
I'm always happy to talk about MarkDivine.
Yeah. Fanboys.
Yes.
All right. Until next time. Get after it.